Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to see that there's a full house. Well, I had it on. A little bit closer. There we go. Is that better? Can you hear me?
No.
No. Okay. So
Closer.
Should we hear me now?
Closer.
Closer.
There you go. Raise it up a little bit, right?
Are you giving me grief?
There you go. Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Are we better now? Can everybody hear me? Okay, I'll leave it right there, won't touch it. Okay. I'm calling the meeting to order at 7 o'clock on the dot. And out of respect, please silence all cell phones, remove all hats. We'll have a moment of silence to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any members recording other than Val Stratton? Yes. I'm seeing hands. Did anyone say yes besides Val? Okay, thank you. Okay, so tonight we're going to start the meeting with the approval of the minutes. Okay, I make a motion to accept the minutes for Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024, as written.
I second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the correspondence is going to go down at the end. I'm rearranging a few things tonight. We're going to go on to the report, the treasurer's report, and that's being provided by David Henry. So I'll let him take over.
Good evening. So I'm sure you're looking at this going, what the heck is this? So our goal was to change up what used to be the treasurer's report into trying to provide something that brought a little bit more, or perhaps a different view of the health of our financials. Now, we're probably not going to go into the details that typically that would have been on the treasurer's report, only because in about another 7 to 10 days, when we get our secured site on our website up, all of our cash flow, P&L, balance sheet, and all of that information will be available on that website for everybody to look at. So short of going through all of that information this evening to try to make this a little quicker, but maybe also a little easier to sort of understand where we are with things, we've come up with this new template. This template isn't finalized as to what we want this template to look like. So we would certainly appreciate some feedback after the meeting. Come find me, and we'll talk about maybe some things that are important that you'd like to see on a monthly financial report at these meetings. But you'll see in here, one of the things I don't know how many people were really aware of is our delinquency report and the impact that has on our community. And so I was kind of shocked to sort of learn these numbers. And so I thought we'd pass this along every month so you can see if things improve, are we chipping away, or is it only getting worse? So I think it's fairly self-explanatory, but you can see we have about 158 members that are in that $0 to $999. And then from thereafter, they're broken down into $2,000 increments. And right now we've got about 20 liens on properties out of these 195. But it's also important to understand that the liens can't be placed sort of on a property, if you will, if what their past due amount includes fines. So when you take the fines out, it's just based on past due assessments. And when they hit that $1,000 threshold or greater, that's when we consider putting a lien on a property. And so we just wanted to share that with everybody so you can see kind of where we are from that perspective. Also on our balance sheet, again, we'll have a much greater detail of our balance sheet. It'll be on the website, but very high level, 20,000 feet. We've got what you can see in the box under our balance sheet. As you look at our P&L, as you look at our sort of October actuals and year-to-date actuals, and we were pulling this together just probably about an hour before the meeting. So hopefully there's no errors and we feel good about the numbers. But right now we're showing sort of a net loss year-to-date of about $69,000. Of that $69,000, $64,000 of that is sort of available to us through Spectrum funds, if you will. And I think there will probably be a question later about Spectrum funds, so we'll see how that goes. And then also on the very bottom, again, not a lot of detail, where we are with our reserve accounts on our interest and where we are with our the interest on our operating accounts. So again, this is sort of the first look at a template or a form that we're going to try to use for future meetings as a part of our financial reports. And again, if there's other aspects of this that you would like to see, find me. Thank you. So I think that's it on that topic.
All right, so unfinished business. Unfinished business. Yep. It's on, okay. Unfinished business. The first is about the gatehouse renovation. And
Yeah, you can leave. Or Peter.
we have met with Peter. Peter has gotten some quotes. We've gotten back and forth on how to handle it. And we have decided to go forth with, or look at both companies and then go forth with one of them to try to get the code enforcement people back into the building. There's also some roadway work that has to be done. Gates might have to be moved. We're going to redo that, but at least we can get them back in the building. So that's our first, it's going to be done in phases. But that's going to be the first thing, is we're going to get them back in the building.
So just adding on, we met, we had a good meeting the other day. So we had Peter, myself, Jane, Catherine, Arlene, and Vince talk about sort of the gatehouse and where we are. We know it's certainly been sitting there for a while in the current condition as you see it today, and that's not where we want to be, and I'm sure that's not where you want to see it. So as we went through the quotes, as we talked about the totality of the project, because there's kind of more to there's more to the scope of the project than just trying to renovate the gatehouse, as Jane was sort of talking about. There's some other aspects that we need to address that are probably that are definitely outside of the gatehouse, and we want to try to get to those as quickly as we can. But our goal is to, as a priority, to get our folks back in. The quotes that we received, although relevant, as myself and Peter and Arlene and others had a chance to talk and actually stand in the space, there's a few other things we'd like to look at. So for example, inside there's a lot of drywall. And so we talked about replacing that drywall with what's called FRP board because it won't absorb the moisture, and hopefully we won't have that issue going forward. We also talked about replacing the windows in there with double pane windows because it is such a small space, and we're trying to keep the moisture and we're trying to keep the sort of insulation factor at a premium, so we're not spending as much money on utilities to try to keep that space cool. We also talked about how we're probably going to need to have a metal box sort of installed. It sounds simple, I know, but where we can house all of our electronics and computers into a common space that's adequately available to sort of moving air to keep those cool. And then we're also going to do a bump out in that space. You may have heard about this, but it'll almost be like a drive-up window. No, you're not going to get French fries out of the gatehouse. But it'll be in such a way that as a vehicle coming into the visitor or vendor side coming into our property, will actually come up to a window that the individual inside the gatehouse can actually slide the window open without having to actually, step out, walk outside, walk back in. We're trying to eliminate how much moisture we're getting in and out of there, especially in the summertime. And so this window will allow the person inside to sit on a stool. They'll have their computer in front of them. They'll have a window, and so we can, sort of communicate with the driver at that point in time without having to go back outside. And so we're excited about making those enhancements so that it's not as hard on the staff as it is today. And there's a few other little things we're doing, but we need to sort of adjust that quote to get this all inclusive of what we're talking about, so that we can move this thing forward pretty quickly. Again, we know that the what looks like a jailhouse box out there isn't attractive. Our gates aren't operating because of all of this, so we do, and we're going to move forward as quickly as we can to get people back in so we can get our gates back up and running. Just a couple of little changes. This just surfaced last week. One of the challenges we talked about the surface in our meeting with was the number of folks coming in. If they, let's say, a visitor or a vendor aisle or a lane coming in, if their name comes up and it sort of shows red and they're not supposed to be here, we currently have a lot of repeat offenders that'll basically, give the peace sign with the finger in the middle and sort of keep on going, even though we're telling them you can't come in. That happens a lot. And so one of the things we discovered this week is that, and we're going to set some training in place. We've got about, I'd say, 2 weeks to sort of make sure we get a sort of SOP around this. But in the future, when a visitor or vendor comes through and they're on the do not enter list, we're going to ask them for their driver's license before we lift the gate. And we'll tell them that as soon as we lift the gate, if you want to get your driver's license back, loop your vehicle right around and we'll hand you your driver's license on your way back out. And so we did seek feedback and guidance on that to make sure we have the right to ask them for their license, which we do. And so that'll help us eliminate those that just sort of take off and tell us to pound sand, because once they're in the park, we have no idea where they're at. So from now on, license, turn your vehicle around, here's your license, have a nice day. So I think we've got some good momentum on trying to get this thing moving forward, because I'd like to sort of keep rocking the press that we're getting things done. So thank you. But we'll keep you posted, but hopefully more developments coming soon. I don't know if there's anything on you. Okay, so
Forward. Excuse me, those are for members' comments at the end, so if you could hold off on that question, thank you.
Okay. Discuss the new computers at the office. Richard or Dave?
I'll leave it to Dave, I guess.
go ahead. So we brought it up before that we were looking at the cost of computers. Initially, there were quite a few computers that were requested that we purchase. And we thought we'd go back and revisit the topic. And so we had a meeting earlier this week. It seemed to be, I think, a very productive meeting. We invited Thomas Fine of Fine Technologies, that's the vendor we use to manage our networking computers here in our community. We also reached out to Richard Bibikoff. I don't know if he's here in the room this evening, but Richard is he works for Spectrum Business Services. We actually found him through some interesting Facebook posts, and we reached out to him and said, hey, it seems like you have some good insight. Why don't you come and join us at the table? And so we invited him in. We also invited Gladys, I don't know her last name. We also invited Gladys Moore, who also has some computer networking sort of a background, if you will. And so with those four and myself and Richard and Catherine, we started talking about what do we really need for our computers now, today. And so we came down to a quote that I'll go over in just a second, so we can pass a motion to approve these. But what we came down to is a couple things. One, we know we need at least 3 critical PCs, or computers, if you will, for the folks that are on QuickBooks, because that's sort of our biggest resource hog of software that we have. The other thing is we don't currently have a firewall in to protect our computer systems. And so we're installing, as a part of this quote, we're going to be installing a firewall initially at the administration building. So all of the computers in the administration building are behind a firewall. We can control the content going out. We can control information coming in. So it'll help us have a more secure environment. We're also going to get a couple of monitors for the folks. And then from there, the computers that we will be replacing are actually better than some of the other computers that we have. So welcome to hand-me-downs. And so that's a strategy we'll continue to look at. So for example, I think Patrona has a computer in here, and I think it's the oldest one we have. So we're going to take Arlene's computer, because it's actually better than Patrona's, and sort of hand that down. So we can try to get a little bit more of a life cycle out of what we have, and sort of manage it that way. So we're actually looking at sort of about a 3-phased approach to our computers and networking. And this what you're going to see today is really the first phase. And then from there, we'll continue to have added conversation. So for example, we also have a server. It's a physical box. The server is where everything sort of goes. All of our computers are touching our server. However, there have been issues here because it is a physical box. Anytime we get power outages, anytime we get hit by lightning, all of those are very taxing on a server, and often you end up with corrupt files, and that's not a good place to be. So one of our next future phases will be to look to remove that physical box and go into a cloud environment so that we have less issues and less risk sitting here on property, and also gives us a better element of redundancy. And so we'll be working on that as well. So all of that said, I'd like to make a motion to approve the quote that we have for $6,640.58, so we can sort of address our critical needs. Maybe a second.
I seconded.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Hold on, maybe one bit of
Oh,
discussion.
you have the discussion.
That is the money for this first phase is coming out of our reserves,
That is correct. Because they were all touching our server.
just to make that clear to all the members.
Okay.
Anything else?
I think it's it.
Nope, all set.
I just have a sheet on the computers.
Is there an name there? You want to take a peek?
Retail.
Okay.
You said you had bids?
Name and unit number.
Linda Walls, Unit 4. You have bids? How come they weren't in the agenda?
We didn't do bids. This will be a sole source purchase. We're doing so because of Fine Technologies is our current vendor for our technology solutions. And we did discuss looking at getting computer quotes from other sort of big box retailers.
Right.
But
That's not a good idea. I'm glad you went with Thomas Fine, but we should have been appraised of what the cost was gonna be, where the funds are coming from in our agenda.
fair. So we're still going to push forward on a motion, and so thank you for your discussion.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up is the open treasurer position. Clearly, it's still open. We're still working together as a team to make sure that we don't drop any balls, if you will. We have been engaging with our sole finance committee member. So thank you, Val, for your assistance. But we hope to have more of an update, perhaps at the next meeting. It's not our intent not to fill it, because we can feel the strain in that position, but hope to have an update and maybe even a nominee at the next meeting. So that's where we are.
Now we move on to new business.
Hope treasurer.
Linda Walls, Unit 4. I resigned October the 23rd. As of today, my name is still on the checking accounts. This needs to be resolved immediately.
Thank you, Linda.
I know Millie resigned this week, last week, whenever. So you've only got one signature on the accounts, and that's Catherine. You've got to take care of this and get a treasurer. Otherwise, I'm going to my lawyer.
So I appreciate that, Linda, I truly do. I attempted to set up a meeting with you and Millie to meet at the administration building so we can talk about the things that you were engaged in and how we needed to transition you away from those topics. I had a calendar on my, I had an invite on my calendar from Millie. She said she had a commitment from you to meet. I showed up to the admin office and both you and Millie were not there, so I'm sorry, but we did attempt to understand.
I never was aware of that.
Well, then we should talk to Millie, who's not here this evening, because she was the one that communicated to me that she spoke to you.
No, she didn't.
Well, I thank you for that, but I can't
But this has got to be resolved.
understand.
Because if something happens that comes up between the 23rd and when my name gets off there, I'm not responsible for it.
Heard, thank you.
And I want this taken care of immediately. No, Brookridge never even contacted the banks. I contacted them to let them know that I had resigned. They've got notes in their file that I resigned, but they can't take me off until Brookridge does the paperwork and contacts them and gives them copies of the minutes.
And it's not true that Catherine Lane is the only person on the accounts. Arlene Ayers is also on some of the accounts.
On Brandon
Correct,
Bay.
correct.
On Brandon
Okay,
Bay.
so please be correct on this. I know you resigned for health reasons, and I don't want you to be upset up here, okay?
This upsets me very much,
So we
Richard.
will take care of it as soon as humanly possible.
You've had a month. You've had a month. What have you done?
So if I could just interject, I think everybody knows that we're going to talk about this next on here.
Arlene would like to say something.
I'm sorry, can I say something? I did contact the banks, Chris is aware at Brandon, but what they need is the approved minutes. We did
Right.
not approve the minutes until tonight. So now the minutes are approved, so tomorrow I can go in with the copy.
But when are we gonna get a new treasurer to be admin over these accounts and get everything rolling the way it should be?
I understand your frustration, Linda. I just wanted to let you know your name was not off until these minutes were approved, so that piece has now been handled.
Okay? Thank you, Arlene. And I'm not mad at you. It's the board for taking their slow time in doing anything. There should have been something on the agenda tonight for appointing a treasurer and getting that, because it's gonna take 2 meetings before we have a treasurer in place.
Thank you. I think your 3 minutes are done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda.
Okay. So next item on the agenda is,
Acceptance of Mildred Bernier's resignation letter.
So I think as many of you know, Millie resigned from her role as president and being on the board. I believe we communicated that out to the community. And so we wish her well. Removal?
So the next order of business, new business, is the removal of Board of Directors President. Which is what I'm doing, correct? Okay. That is right. We have to make the motion. I'll make the motion to accept Mildred Bernier's letter of resignation from the board and the director's positions.
I second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. So, okay. So that's me. Okay, so we're gonna chime in together, Dave and I. The removal of the Board of Directors President. That's the next thing on the agenda. I believe that would be me. I am the acting,
No, not yet.
no, not yet,
This is about
that's not me. Oh, this is about me.
Yeah.
But we already did that.
I'm going to talk about how we got there.
Oh, okay, well then you can do that. I thought we were on the next one. I'm sorry, that was my bad. I thought we were on the next one already.
So I think it's important to understand a little background about the president stepping down. In fact, maybe I can ask Jerry Foster, are you in the room? Raise your hand. Hang on. Jerry, you don't have to come up here. Have a seat, relax. I just want to start off by saying we owe you an apology. And so at the workshop meeting, you came up front and sort of towards the end of your topic, you said you had a question for Millie and you asked her if she signed any contracts other than Vince within the last 2 months. Millie said no. And you said, am I sure? Are you sure? She said, yep, unless there's nothing else I know about. Unfortunately, Millie signed 3 employment contracts. Yes. So Millie.
So she told an untruth.
Yeah, she was not truthful at that workshop when she said she did not sign any contracts. So we owe you an apology for her dishonesty. From there, I had several conversations with Millie about
May I please interject something to?
Can I just finish?
Real quickly, please. It's a small point. Anytime, and we have to take classes to become HOA board members, okay? And in our classes, all my certificates here, which I have, 8 CAM credit hours of thing. It says that any employment contract that we're gonna go into has to be vetted by our attorneys, okay? None were.
So anyways, I just wanted to let everybody know that today we have 3 employment contracts that were signed under her sole authority. As Linda said, her name is actually on some of them as well. So neither had the authority to sign these contracts, and these contracts did not go through our attorney for approval. And so we owe you an apology as a board because none of the 5 of us had any knowledge of this unfolding. In fact, 2 of the contracts were signed on September 23rd. The 3 of us were brought onto the board Wednesday night on September 18th, and Monday morning, 2 contracts were issued. And so we're sorry. And we just wanted everybody to know the why behind this. So when I did reach out to Millie to say, this is really a problem. She felt she had the authority. She did not. We did tell her that we were going to put her on the agenda. We were going to pass a motion to step her down. I did call her prior to this being on the agenda to say, if you would like, Millie, you can resign beforehand. And so it doesn't have to happen here. And so I guess she decided to do that. But I wanted everybody to understand that we do have some more signed contracts that we're not authorized to sign. So We're sorry.
Throw 'em out.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying they weren't authorized to sign, but unfortunately they've pretty much signed their name to these agreements. So we've got some other effort and work to do on these, and so we'll have some more updates soon, but just wanted to give everybody an idea of what's unfolding.
Who are they? Who are they?
Well, before I give you the names, what I will ask you to do is please be respectful of the individuals that receive the contracts. This is not their fault. So please, don't pass along any disparaging words. Again, it's not their fault. So we have three people. We have Arlene, we have Peter, and we have Vivian, our bookkeeper. So I don't want to go into any further details at this point in time. I just wanted to at least make everybody aware of what unfolded. These agreements will be on our website as soon as we get our sort of password protected page up, which is going to be by the end of the month. And you can see more then. But for now, I don't really want to go into any more of the details, but I wanted to at least let you know what unfolded and where we're at. At this point, they are legal. There's some question around that, but I'm not in a position to answer those questions this time, but thank you. I appreciate your concerns, and we're still working on it.
The next is the reorganization of the board directors.
So I have this as a motion topic, but I'm going to turn and hand this over to our first president to handle this motion.
Oh, hello all. What a night, huh? I know that the norm would be for me to step into that office. I can tell you this is the first time since I've taken office in March of this year that I actually feel like I'm a part of the board. I agree, right? First time. So anyway, I don't feel like I learned enough. I don't feel like I'm knowledgeable enough in order to be able to take over, especially with some of the things that are going on right at the moment. There are a lot of things that have to be dealt with. And so David and I have spent time talking, and he's agreed to mentor me, which is wonderful. And the rest of the board, we all work together in order to be able to move ourselves forward, all together as a board. And I think that that's the important piece. So I have decided not to take that position and just redistribute the office positions. So, yeah, okay, so now I can just, I'll make the motion. So I made, okay, here we go. Oh, I have to do those. Yes, and I can do both at the same. Correct. Okay. This is not me. And this one. There we go. Okay, here we go. So I will make, I'm making a motion to move David Henry into the president's position and to move Richard Weiss into the second vice position.
I will second that.
Any discussion?
Gail Metcalf would like to speak. She gave me a paper for the reorganization. Oh,
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, there's more people.
Okay, no more documents?
no.
No. You'll have to wait till member comments. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Excuse me, please, decorum, please. If I can mention something. At the yearly board meetings, when the votes are in, members, okay, you vote all of the members of the board in. You do not assign them a position on the board. That is decided amongst them, and this is basically the same way that it is being done, okay? You have no say in what position that those members take. And it has been that way for years, okay?
Gail does want to speak.
Gail Metcalf, Unit 6. Number 1, that thing right up there, if you would like to comment on a specific agenda topic, please fill out on the comment form in advance of the start of the meeting. They're all right down there, it says it right there. I'd like to thank the board for following Robert's rules. The second thing is, Richard is absolutely right. When we vote in March, we vote the board, we vote for the directors. In our bylaws, it's very specific that the board decides who's going to have the positions. We have no say in that. So that is, they are following the rules. They're not being vicious, they're not, this group seems to be listening to people. So to say on one thing that they're not listening, that's not fair to them. Let's just stick by the rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail.
Thank you, Gail.
Thank you, Gail. Next item is about the tennis and pickleball courts, fence.
No. No, you're all done. Okay.
Okay. So the next topic is the tennis and pickleball court fence. But before we make the motion on the fence that's needed to help finish that project, I thought I would try to help you see what's happening out in that space. So this was the before picture of the project that we started, I guess, right around the time that Milton was coming through. I remember being outside talking to the contractor thinking, ooh, we gotta get out of here. So that was the before picture. Here's the current picture of the space as you look at sort of similar views. The picture on the right, this picture, this was the space that was deemed, and rightfully so, as being dangerous to be standing in there. Dangerous from a perspective of trip hazards. And so there was a pile of pavers in there. They'd just gotten dislodged, changed, moved, manipulated. And so over the years, it wasn't a pretty space. And so you can see we removed the wooden benches that were split and peeling and not great to sit on. And we have now poured the concrete into this space that levels what was this space at an angle to match the level of this other space all the way back over here. So now we have a much larger platform where we can have tables and chairs. You can see in this picture, we brought a few tables and chairs over from the pool, so that as We opened it up this morning, maybe not the greatest of weather, but we have hopes it'll get better. It certainly seems like a much more inviting space. A couple of other things that we still have coming. We need to get some tables and chairs so we can get the pool theirs back. At some point, they're gonna kind of call us and go ahead and bring that back. We're also adding a water bottle filler. I think if you remember, it had sort of an old nasty water fountain that was kind of gross and not incredibly sanitary. And so we're gonna have a water bottle filler there that, please bring a water bottle and you can fill it up there. Also, as a part of another trip hazard, we had pedestal fans with extension cords. Granted, it helped and we resolved the issue, but we're removing those 2 pedestal fans and replacing them with fans that will be mounted under the canopy. They are exterior rated, whereas the other ones were not. And so these will actually motion and swing from left to right. We're starting off with 2 for now to see how that works. They're very affordable, and so we can always add more later. Right now, we're looking at a total project cost of about $32,000 for that project. You'll remember the conversation from last time that we opted to reduce that quote from the vendor from $24,900 down to $20,000, so we can use some of that money to buy some other things to complete the project. We still knew that as we entered into this project, the fence would have to be replaced. There was some repairs from Hernando Aluminum that had to take place. We had to replace the electrical. We've added some sod. We took the time to remove the stumps because that was also a trip hazard between the bocce ball courts and the pickleball courts. And so we've pretty much finished that. So we have a little bit more to do, and I'll talk about the fence in a minute. Additionally, a member took the time to remove all the pavers. So there's close to 300 pavers that were still good, and we didn't want the contractor to remove them. So somebody volunteered the time, stack them over here, so now Vince's team can put them someplace else. I'll put them around my house when I buy my house. But so we're happy to say, come on down and check out the tennis court pickleball area where we're at, knowing we've got a little bit more work to do there. And we just want to say thank you to the Public Works team and the clubhouse team to say we're ready to play ball.
So we have 2, Linda Walls had a comment in that she wanted to speak on regarding the fence, or the pickleball court.
Walls Unit 4, when you're asking or showing bids, you need to use the right agenda form that shows where the costs are coming from, what line item, and I will give you a copy, David. It's in our books. And that should be used anytime there's bids for money.
So noted, thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah. Is it John LeBrecq?
Okay, I just like most of you. John LeBrecq, Unit 2. Just like most of you, I just got the quotation in the packet that came in here this afternoon. And when I looked at that, they wanted 306 feet of fence. I thought that was a little bit too much. So I looked at the diagram that's on the bottom. There's only 266 feet. So I would be careful about signing a contract that has an error. It's just simple mathematics. You add up the 6 numbers and you should have 306.
So the quote we have, I guess I'll have to check to see which one we attached to the agenda.
It's archived. That's how you
Mm-hmm. We revised it since then.
That's been revised.
Well, that was obviously our mistake. We have a revised quote. Any other topics? I'll make the motion.
That was it, yeah.
Okay. So we have a revised quote for $4,006. The previous quote the gentleman was talking about was, I think, close to $8,000. And so we revised the quote working with our vendor to $4,006. That'll come out of reserves. And so I'd like to make a motion to approve the quote of $4,006. Can I have a second?
I second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I feel like American Idol. Can I have the envelope, please?
If you can get that in the side tonight, and then pass it over to Harold or something. There's the envelope. Wrong game.
Thank you. My name is Hope Campbell, Unit 2. I am the chairperson of the election committee. I just want to thank all the members of the election committee for their hard work. Thanks again.
I think they used extra glue. Vince, turn down the lights. We got the results. Just say that. Okay, so budget. Type of vote. So we had ballots for 401, against 558, for a total of 959. Online ballots, 77 for, 76 against, 153 total. Totals, we have 478 total votes for the approved budget and 634 votes against the new budget. So it did not pass. 1,112 votes. So thank you everybody for speaking with your ballots. Forensic audit. Okay, so we'll start with the ballots. 584 for the forensic audit, 376 against. Online, 105 for a forensic audit, 48 against. So the total is 689 for a forensic audit, 424 against. So that's considered a pass. I would like to speak about the forensic audit, if I may, just for a second. Before we go anywhere with the forensic audit, we will come back and have another conversation another day. But I actually had a wonderful conversation with a member the other day as I was invited to their home to talk about their budget. And we got into a conversation about the forensic audit. And Art, I think of you on this. Thank you for having us over to talk about the budget. But when you think about a forensic audit, it doesn't have to be all encompassing. I think the words you used was, isn't this like a scalpel when you go in and remove a cancerous spot and you move on? And so we've got some work to do to figure out how we approach this, how this is going to look. But it will be, it'll be very surgical at best. So thank you everybody for your votes this evening. And we certainly got our work cut out ahead of us.
Patty Cummings, you have a paper here that you would like to speak about vote integrity.
Patty Cummings, Unit 4. I got an email wanting me to vote online and would vote ready. First of all, what is this? I mean, we didn't vote on it as a members, so you're put in another computer system. I hope it works better than Gate Century. But what about the people who don't have computers? You're still going to send out a handwritten ballot to them people. So you're just double dipping and we're paying for a computer system that we don't need.
Okay, try to explain that again.
Did you get online voting?
I think this might be about the topic where I think in past times,
Right there,
We did have one.
vote ready.
yeah, we did have online voting. I think if this is what this is addressing. So previously we had used Becker, our attorneys. They provided the online voting service and they are no longer doing that. So it looks like we've gone out and secured another vendor for this.
So we're paying for something and you're still mailing out ballots, so we're double. We're sending them out what? People don't vote off in it early?
Good question.
We're paying
Because
for-
we've always mailed out ballots. It's nothing
Well,
that's
they have-
changed yet.
They have to use a UBL number for one. The ballots have UBL numbers.
So
And when
why
they're
do we
doing
need
it
to do
online,
twice?
they have to use their UBL number also.
So
So they can't double do it because if they did, it would show up.
I think
they're
she's
not,
asking about
you
the
are.
expense.
So why are we paying for this expense? You're
Can I-
mailing out ballots.
Maybe I can ask the question, have we always done this in the past here where we've mailed out ballots and then we had an online voting?
Yes.
I've never done it in the past, never.
Linda?
I did put my name in, but I can fix that question.
Linda Walls, Unit 4. Brookridge has offered online voting for several years. It was through Becker, our attorney. We paid $700 a year for that service. I don't know what the new company's charging. But no more votes than we get online. I don't know if it's beneficial to keep having the online voting. $700, I questioned it many times.
Well, just to give you a comparison, so for the budget, we had 153 online votes and 959 ballots.
Okay, Dave, can you hang on 1 minute, Gail? I think that the person to speak to this is Lauren. Thank you very much for coming down.
I don't know.
What does, Arlene,
This was arranged before.
do you know what
It
the
was
cost
Arranged
is?
before we were on board.
So the current company, Vote Integrity, Vote and Integrity combined, so Vote Integrity was a total of $900. We had to pay $450 when we initiated, and when we got the final count on Tuesday, then it was an additional $450, so $900 total.
Do we really think it's worth it?
Yes.
Decorum,
Online is the way of the world.
please, little decorum. Hope Campbell is up at the microphone.
Hope Campbell, Unit 2. As I said before, I'm the chairperson of the election committee. There were some instances where people voted online and they voted in paper ballots. The system that we have now, Votegrity, is aware of that. We are aware of it, and the people that tried to vote both ways were taken off. Votegrity is a nice system. We've got to work with it, work out some of the kinks. It was a good experience. We both, Arlene and myself, and the co-chair, both worked with Votegrity on Monday at the close of the online voting. They were very approachable. They did what we wanted, but we just want you to be aware that you can only vote once. You can either vote online or you vote in a paper ballot. But we were able to catch anyone that, in my words, tried to double dip. Okay?
Thank you, Hope.
Okay, next up on the agenda is we have correspondence.
Gotta wait till member comments, I'm sorry.
So correspondence read by.
So we have a letter from Marge Roloff with Helping Hands. Helping Hands is a Brookridge Sewing for Charity group. Our club supplies helpful items to hospice, the military area nursing homes, children's hospital units as part of the nationwide Project Linus, veteran centers, and others. While we accept donations, our major fundraiser is an annual pancake breakfast. We're asking your consideration to again approve the pancake breakfast to be held in the great room of the clubhouse on Sunday, February 16, 2025, from 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. To prepare, we would need access by 6 a.m. and the afternoon and evening before for room setup. In the past, our group has not incurred an overtime charge for this event, and we would greatly appreciate your waiving that fee again. Additionally, we are requesting people from the outside the community be allowed to attend the pancake breakfast. Thank you for your consideration. If you have any questions, please contact me at the number below. Marge Roloff. I make a motion to allow Helping Hands to host a pancake breakfast on Sunday, February 16th, 2025, from 7:30 to 11:30 at the clubhouse, and also allow access at 6 a.m. the same morning and the day before for setup. This breakfast would be open for Brookridge residents and outside guests. Also, adjust monitors schedules so no overtime is incurred. I made the motion.
Yeah, well, you can make the motion.
Anybody second?
I second.
Any discussion, more discussion?
I'm kind of thinking that at this moment in time, due to our budget concerns and that we should table this. It's not until February that they need to do this. It's going to cost us for the use of the facility. What's the use of the kitchen and all of the
Is Marge here?
It's a really good breakfast. We should have it.
Okay, well, I think our question is the fee that they're talking about, this overtime fee.
No, there's no overtime. There won't be any overtime.
So as long as there's no fee,
Their schedules will be adjusted, so no overtime is incurred.
okay.
We,
So-
some,
We
okay.
have a second. All those in
All in
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll go along with the rest of it.
Yes.
Next, I have a letter from Debbie Whitney and Donna Stordock. Are either one of you here? Let me introduce the co-chairman of the Friday Night Bingo. My name is Debbie Whitney, and I co-chair the Friday Bingo with Donna Stordock. We've been chairing the bingo for about 3 years now. On several occasions, we've been asked by our players and volunteers to host a bingo bash. So with the help of some past bingo bash planners, we've put together a bash to be held on Saturday, March 29, 2025. The entire hall has been reserved for, and Ms. Petrona has that date marked on the calendar for us. As always, most of the proceeds of this event will be donated to the 13 local charities that we currently give to twice a year. Millie is aware of the upcoming event and has asked that we send a letter to the board advising of our plan. I make a motion to allow the Friday Night Bingo to hold a bingo bash on Saturday, March 29, 2025, from 12 p.m. until approximately 6 p.m. at the clubhouse. Also allow access earlier in the day to set up. This bingo bash would be open for Brookridge residents and outside guests. Also, the monitor schedules will be adjusted so there is no overtime is incurred.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, we got another bingo thing. Also, the same two people, Debbie Whitney and Donna Stordock, they would like to, over the past, for whatever reason, the ladies of Brookridge that currently host the Tuesday night bingo have not been able to host a bingo. This may be caused by members being out of town or not available. Some of our residents count on this bingo as the only activity that they attend. What we'd like to do is host a $1 bingo only on the Tuesday nights that the ladies of Brookridge are unable to host their regular bingo sessions. Our program would be between 10 and 15 games, each costing participants $1 per game. All of the funds taken in for a particular game would be paid out to the respective winner. A copy of the sample program is attached for your review. We would also maintain that this would be for residents and their guests only, as stated on the Ladies of Brookridge Bingo. We would only host the $1 bingo in the absence of the regular Tuesday night bingo. Thank you for your consideration, and we look forward to your reply. So I make a motion to allow the Friday Night Bingo to host $1 bingo only on Tuesday nights. What? Allow the Friday Night Bingo people, I should say, to host a $1 bingo only on Tuesday nights that the ladies of Brookridge are unable to hold their regular bingo session. This $1 bingo would only be open to Brookridge residents and their guests only, and the times would be the same as the Tuesday night bingo. And there would be no overtime incurred. And then, I made the motion, so any second? Discussion?
Well, how are they gonna know when the other ladies aren't gonna be able to hold it on Tuesdays? And since they've already got Friday, wouldn't it be more advantageous for the women's club to host that?
You can't do it.
So that-
That's why they're still.
So are they going to be coordinating this
Yes.
with the Friday, with the Friday bingo people?
Yes.
And how does it work with the donated funds?
They're adults.
Regarding-
The funds from that night go to the winner of each game. There's no donation made on this particular
They're not stealing the money.
dollar bingo.
And on the Tuesday night thing, there's no donated funds? I'm just asking, I don't know. So I'm asking.
I don't believe so.
You know,
I believe that the money they take in is paid out. And it definitely would be that way for the dollar bingo. The funds taken in for a particular game would be paid out to the respective winner or winners.
Excuse me. They're adults. They know what they're doing. So you don't have to worry about it. I mean, they know what they're doing. Amen.
So that's,
I mean, this is.
Any more
All in favor?
discussion?
I want to ask a question about something, and I know you don't want to talk about
We're
it.
on bingo right now, though.
Okay, when can we ask questions about it?
At member
At the
comments
end.
at the end.
Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
why I don't come to this board, because we're going at too much stuff to the meetings.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, I do have one paper for Jerry Foster. Jerry Foster. It's regarding Spectrum. He signed it when he came in.
that's-
Yeah, well, we're trying to.
Sorry about that.
We'll call you back later, Jerry. Okay, I'm gonna read a letter that, we have a letter from Linda Walls, and it's regarding the tennis, I think, the tennis and the pickleball courts, I believe. I request that this letter be read at the Board of Meeting November 20th, 2024 concerning tennis pickleball courts. At the October 7th, 2024 Board approved bid for concrete work to be done. One board member said, if we approve this, don't come back on us if not right. Two board members wanted to meet with the contractor. The two board members, I understand, did meet with the contractor, and changes were made in the work to be done, but these changes were not brought back to the rest of the board to be reviewed, approved, or disapproved. After seeing the pictures that were posted on social media, I went up to see the work being done on November 12th. So the changes made were to save Brookridge $4,000 on concrete for the 20-foot of concrete eliminated, and that 20-foot will be rock. So now you have the cost of the rock, which could be, let's say, around $2,000. So a $2,000 savings. These board members did not take into consideration the well-being and safety of our residents. We have residents 50, 60, 70, 80 plus, people that play tennis and pickleball that will be walking across the rocks. Rocks roll under your feet as you walk across them. That is definitely not safe for our residents. How many residents will end up falling when the rocks roll under their feet? Rocks getting up on the courts will be a problem. I guess these two board members will make sure that the weeds are kept out and the blowing sand will be kept out. Would you put a sidewalk to your house and leave a 20-foot section of the sidewalk in rock and not concrete and concrete it all the way? There is money in the reserve account for tennis pickleball courts. So why cut corners and make an unsafe area for our residents? Plus, in a year or 2 years, will the rock need to be removed and concrete put in? And what will that cost be? Apparently, some board members can't think outside the box. I can see where the tennis pickleball players will come back to the board that the plans were changed and not approved by the whole board. Time will tell. Linda Walls. I want to speak to that only because, I mean, I'm not 80, but I'm up there. And I did walk on the rock because I had the same concerns. I walked on the rock, and it's much safer to walk on that rock than it is to walk on the rock in front of my house. So I was very impressed with the way the rock was laid. I mean, it felt like concrete. It felt like walking on concrete. So it allayed my concerns about that. So I would suggest anybody that has the same concerns possibly go walk on the rocks. There's also there's a curbing to keep the rocks out of the tennis courts and the sand from coming in.
Okay, report of the directors. Richard, why don't we start with you?
Okay. Members, Linda Walls, when she was a board member up here, had a statement to make to you. Kevin Lane has had a statement before to make to you. And also Millie Bernier has had a statement that she's made to you. So I'd like to take my turn to make a statement to all of you. And dear Brookridge members, after Hurricane Milton passed, I received a card in my mailbox indicating that I had a certified mail to pick up. I drove to the Brooksville post office and signed for this piece of mail. And to my amazement, it was a letter from Becker and Polikoff, the law firm which is on a retainer for and represents Brookridge Community Property Owners Incorporated. Due to the fact this letter spoke specifically of several items and issues that were wholly untrue, I knew that I had to either seek legal advice and defend myself, or take the easy way out and simply resign and cower away, never again to have a voice in the Brookridge community. I am not guilty of any wrongdoing whatsoever. So I chose to stay on the board and fight back with the help of private legal counsel. Per my legal counsel, I've been instructed not to give the specifics of this letter, okay? At this time, only that I may relay the letter was stern and accusatory, claiming wrongdoing on my part. In my legal counsel's opinion, the perceived purpose of this correspondence was intended to intimidate me, cause me great mental stress, and most likely get me to resign completely from the Brookridge Community Property Owners Board of Directors. My legal counsel looked over my formal documented evidence and supporting audio-video clips, which there was a substantial amount of, and we included them in 2 separate correspondences back to Becker and Polikoff. showing absolute proof that their letter directed to me was without legal merit. In conclusion, I was extremely upset to have received this unwarranted letter from Brookridge's law firm, but it was a wake-up call to me. That made me even more determined. I am by no means a perfect individual. I truly care about this beautiful 55-plus community, and I want it to run as smoothly and efficiently as humanly possible. I know that I have a lot of good friends here in Brookridge, and for that I am very grateful. But even if you're not one of my friends, I am here to help everyone. So please come and talk to me. I will listen to your suggestions and concerns and bring them back to your board of directors to address. I thank all of you, including the folks watching on YouTube, for attending your board of directors November board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Jane?
I have nothing to report.
Ms. Roberta? Catherine?
I have something to report. I am pleased over the moon that I now have a platform, the board has a platform, to be able to go over the suggestion box, all of the contents that everybody put in there. There hasn't been anything in there for a week or so, everybody just be aware, put them in there. The new website that we have that's being worked on, there's going to be a Q&A that'll be put on there that I'm working on with the rest of us. And the suggestion box, everything that comes in via email, you'll all have explanations of how to do it, but it will all be addressed in there. And then I believe that we're gonna bring a town hall back once every other month so that we can discuss in detail all of the suggestions or any of them, and if you have any more. So I just want to make sure that everybody knew that it's finally come to light. So thank you. Thank you for your patience.
I don't have anything to report, so we can open up for member comments.
So Jerry, you're first, you put in a paper.
Oh, it's a race.
Jerry Foster, you too. I had three questions originally, but you've already answered two of them, I guess. The spectrum. Did you ever get any information like why we can only spend $64,000 a year?
I can speak to that a little. I've been in contact with the person that set up the contract, and he has agreed to come to us and explain it to us in detail. Why it's like that, what it means to us and everything. We just have not set that up yet because of all the other meetings we're having.
Okay, thank you.
And Jerry, I know we owe you an answer on that. You've asked a couple times. As you can see, we've been somewhat busy, but we'll get you an answer.
Gail Metcalf, Unit 6. Couple of things that are just housemaking things, not what I was going to talk about. You talked about the why we have online voting. Well, about 6 or 7 years ago, Florida state statute was changed that all HOAs had to have that available. So that's a very quick question, answer to the question. 80-20 rule, just real quick. That does not mean that we have to reserve 20% of our homes for people under 55. The 80-20 rule is actually the rule to be able to discriminate, age discrimination. So at least 80% of the households have to have one person at least 55 years old or older in it. Right when I left the board about 5 or 6 years ago, we were up to 92% because the kids were aging out. So that is the reason and that's also, I believe, in the statutes. Oh, and one more thing, you passed the forensic audit, and I know we're gonna be talking about it. Please look at your 72303-2C. It talks about if we want to have something like that, we have to either amend the budget or adopt a special assessment for that. So that's the one main thing. Okay, I was not able to come last meeting. It was the morning, I missed it. You talked about rules committee, bylaw committee, and deed restriction committee. The rules committee. This information, the rules committee turned this information in twice to the board of directors, 2 different boards of directors. They did absolutely nothing with it. These people, I was the secretary, there originally was 10 people on the board on that rules committee. It whittled down to 5. I will say their names later. But they worked 15 months, almost every single week on this. They took every single rule, talked to all of the people that needed to be, we looked at the state statutes and everything. Now this is going back last year, so this year I know that we've changed a little bit, but I think that it would behoove you to appreciate the work that this committee had done. And I know there's a couple of people that were very turned off by the last couple of months and said that they would never do this again, but I think I could bring them back, and I'm willing to speak with all of you, Catherine, especially because you're the one that initiated that. I have all of our minutes, all of our emails, everything here, including every single rule that's been redone. The thing that we would have to do is go back through the laws that were done this year, and there's only a few that they would have to be changed. All right, so I will, but if I could meet with you tomorrow or Friday and just talk to you about these things, I would appreciate it.
Oh, there we go. I would love to be able to sit down and talk to you about it. I have gone over the 720 regs, and I know that I've seen some of the things that the Rules and Regs Committee did do, and I'm more than willing to sit down. It will not be this week, and probably, you can give me a call. We can schedule an appointment for sometime middle to the end of next week if you'd like. But there'll be a couple of us sitting there. I'll see who else might like to do that with me. Thank you.
Mark Whitley, who is on the committee with me, he said that he would sit down with you also.
Thank you.
Linda Walsh, Unit 4. That was one thing that was on my list to talk about. I wasn't at the meeting, the workshop meeting, and it was brought up about the Rules and Regs Committee. The board never disbanded the Rules and Reg Committee that's been in place since Anna Webster. So you would have to disband them if you wanted to start a new committee. The Finance Committee is a year-round committee, not just for the budget. You need to read the SOP on that. The Finance Committee reviews other finances during the year, not just the budget. Has the draft for the audit been signed and sent back to the auditor?
Harley, do you want to respond to her question?
I did meet with David, sorry, I'm coming. Okay, let me start. I met this afternoon with David and Catherine and Now Stratton, I'm sorry, I don't know, my mind is going blank right now. and our bookkeeper Vivian, and we did finally determine that, yes, I can sign it. And I will, honestly, it was late in the afternoon, but I will sign it tomorrow and send it back to Mike. So then he can get Mike from Affinity CPA and he will get us back the contract.
Okay, has the agreement been signed for Jones and Company, the CPA company?
It has not, no, I believe we're going in a different direction, correct, Board? Yes.
Okay, are we gonna have a company that's going to reconcile our books and close them out to get the correct information to the auditor to do the audit?
More information coming, Linda.
Otherwise, we're gonna be late with the audit again. Brookridge became a 55+ community in 2013. Please read the HUD regulations regarding what's required of a 55+. And when was the last time a survey was done on the residents? A survey is supposed to be done every 2 years and available to the residents to view. And anything on the T-Mobile Tillman agreement?
Not at this time.
That would be cost saving for the residents.
Can I ask you, when was the last survey that was done?
When I asked, nobody knew.
So you never,
Hasn't changed.
your board also didn't get one done?
No, I wasn't on the board that long. No,
Thank you.
that's something that's way past due.
Thank you.
And we could lose our 55+.
Thank you.
Chamber Dive Unit 2, very quick. When you spoke of the pavers, it would be nice if you sold them, so you have the money to put towards the budget to fix this pavement.
Well, are you volunteering to buy them? Because I can tell you where they are.
No,
I heard of
Dave,
people who were
Dave.
interested, either buy from us or they're gonna walk off.
Well, they're pretty heavy. I don't know how many people are gonna move them, but thank you for the suggestion.
They are going to be used in our retention ponds, so we're not eroding them.
Great, there you go. Multiple use.
I don't want to go up there, but I do have a lot.
Recycling.
Come on up to the microphone.
You gotta come speak into the mic so we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear.
What?
What? Can you hear me now?
Hi, I'm Marcy Bocampani, and I think I'm Unit 1. And I usually don't come to these meetings because they drag too long and stuff like that. I have a question about the employees that have a supposedly a contract. I'm sure all of us here work for companies. And I work for law firms, I work for a lot of people, and I never had to sign a contract for my job for years. I think that we should.
Can we all be respectful and just
Just let
listen?
her
She
talk.
has 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so why are these employees, I know you guys didn't do it, why did they have to be put on a contract? What happens if they do something and they should be fired? So we pay them for the rest of the contract because they didn't do their job? And one in particular that I'm not gonna say the name, I know that she didn't do her job well. And why are we letting these contracts? We should not have to have contracts on normal employees. I could see if you're a president, if you're a, somebody in a higher position, but accounting, the lady that works there or anybody, they should not have to have contracts. They should work by yearly. I could understand if they get a raise and they deserve. But I don't understand. I think those contracts, because they're not legal, they should be voided. They are not, should be kept. I'm sorry, that's definitely not something that we should do. And also, I have another question. I thought the people that are snowbirds don't belong on the board.
That's not true.
That's
Actually,
what I was told, the rules and regulations. I don't know, but I was told by the rules and regulations from other people, the people that are snowbirds should not be on the board.
Actually,
Is it
if you, thank you. If you actually read the Florida statutes in the 720 series, with about the changes in 23 and 24, every member of our community is eligible to be on the board. Every member.
If you own property,
Good to know. And one more thing, I know I got 3 minutes, but I apologize. One more thing that I want to know is why can we not change the rules and regulation? Because I do think we should vote for the board. I don't think that people should automatically, granted, you guys got picked and decide who does what. But the rules and regulations have been here for many, many, many years. Somebody should look into and maybe change some things. Or else the people in this community, which we're the one, you're not getting paid for this job, I understand it, and it's a tough job. But I don't think that you guys should be the only one that makes a decision who's what and who's who. Not just you guys, previous ones. And I know everybody that I thought they were great, and I thought they were phenomenal leaders, and you sound like you're gonna be a good leader. It ended up being unbelievable. So I think the rules and regulations need to be looked into, and maybe some stuff should be changed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ken Walls, Unit 4. First, I want to apologize to the board for getting up earlier and coming up here. I just, but let me ask all of you something. You're asking Linda to help you get started on the treasurer's position. Ever since this board has come on board, you have bashed Linda's treasurer's position, even as far as trying to recall Linda off the board. Now you're asking for her help? Go figure.
Thank you.
That is up to Linda.
Thank you. So without any further member comments, I move to adjourn the meeting.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye. Oh.
Wait, please go up to the microphone, please go up to the microphone. We didn't see you coming.
Last time.
Sorry, Mike Cavender, Unit 4.
And I apologize, I didn't see you coming.
I've lost weight. What can I say? We definitely have issues here. Communications being the biggest one. I know you've got a nasty letter. I had to get a little umbrance when the situation came up talking about the pancake breakfast. And you made a comment that because of our budget, maybe that's not a good thing to do. By that same term, maybe right now we shouldn't be thinking, oh, thank you. Oh, this is a hot one. Maybe we should consider actually getting multiple bids before we spend $4,000 on computer equipment. Because if I'm not mistaken, and I may be a little off, there is a monetary threshold that you go beyond that, you must put in bids.
And please understand, we do have bids for the computers and the monitors.
Okay,
Okay, so, but servers and all that our IT gentleman handles are something of a specific nature that we cannot order ourselves. And it's something that he has to deal with and he has to put in place.
Yeah, I
So-
built them.
So you have to understand, we're not IT experts.
Oh, you know what a server really is? It is just a computer that has multiple brains. That's all it is. I helped write the controlling information for Tropicana. Tracking barrels as they ship them all around the world. Okay? Getting a server in here, you just air gap it. It's no big deal. But again, certain things there should be, because the comment was made that we're using a sole source for computers. You still have a monetary threshold that if you go beyond that, no more sole source. And when it comes down to what other people have mentioned, there is a disconnection. You all, I know, it's voluntary what you're doing, but you still serve at the behest and for the good of these people out here. And you are forgetting that.
Thank you.
Hi, Donna Smith, Unit 2. I wanted actually a couple issues here. This one actually is for Jane Randall. The shaming you did on social media about not volunteering, that you only had X amount of people. The reason why probably most of us don't volunteer is that people tend to belittle the people that have joined the committee, or something you find you join a committee and then you give suggestions and then the board doesn't allow it or doesn't want to listen to it. So I hope that moving forward, the 5 of you, and get a treasurer in here, because we need it with Florida statute, you know that everybody is going to communicate better with the community. Because there are so many issues that are pushing on the rug and none of us find it except for all the little gossip, and then we don't have the truth. And another issue, but you brought it up, is I'm very concerned about the guards, that the young ladies are sitting out there at night when anybody can come in. Now, we have a gentleman checking the barcodes. How do you know that that barcode really is for our community? It's that gate has been for 2 years. This is no longer, something can happen to those women and men, just like Heidi. And I think that this should be
Joanne Burns, Unit 4. Seriously want to tell you that Helping Hands has been, as long as I know, that I'm here, almost 25 years, they've always had their pancake breakfast, never questioned, okay? You guys really need to know, as a new board, to support men's club, women's club, the same thing with Helping Hands. Look into your clubs, because these clubs make all our people, okay? It's a big thing. So when they are giving you a letter like that, it shouldn't even be questioned. It is a big thing to support our community. You will see on that day, they sell out. They're sold out and they support our community. Our groups always supported our community, and you really need, that's why I said to you, sit down and talk to the old timers, because it's our groups that gave back to our community. And when you sit down and you sit with the residents, you'll learn that. So just heads up, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, neighbor. I hear there's a lot of people from Unit 4. I'm from Unit 4. My name is Bertie Peterson. I just want to touch on a couple of things. When you put up the budget for the pickleball, and I'm all for that, and I think that's wonderful what they did. I almost fell off my chair. That water butler thing that you have is $18,000. And that's what I said. What does it say? And then the electrician was
1,800, not 18,000.
Okay, so that's still a lot of money. But the way it was
Everything's
written
a lot
out
of
there,
money.
it said 18. Okay, so then you got 2 bids out there on the guard check. So my thing to you is, it's been not working for 2 months. You have to do some mold cleaning and some other stuff in there. This is Florida. The windows are gonna open. It doesn't matter. But you have 2 bids and you still haven't decided on who's gonna do work.
So were you here earlier when I gave the update on the gatehouse and how we had bids, but we went back and sort of made some adjustments to those bids?
Drywall and that
We
kind of
still
stuff.
stand on those needs for the adjustments to those bids so that we can move forward and make sure we do it right and not fast.
Okay, so
But I thank you for your comments.
okay, because that's what I'm concerned, it's already 2 months went by, it takes so long for you guys to contract somebody in here. And then my second thing is you brought the chairs over to the pickleball from the pool. Could we get our pool, chairs restrapped? Could we put that in the budget? I don't think that's asking too much.
I think as we start to reevaluate what happens with the budget on the vote, we will keep that in mind.
Okay,
Thank you
that's
for your
all I hear,
comments.
is pool for everybody.
Great,
That's it.
thank you.
So, thank you, that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening. So we're going to attempt to adjourn one more time, but before we do, we just want to say have a happy Thanksgiving in the next week or so. Be safe. If you're traveling, be safe. So I make a motion to adjourn our meeting. All in favor? Aye. Good night.
Good night.